Well, welcome back to this year's episode of Success Through Connections. Be sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got a question for you. Okay, we're 2 weeks into the new year. So, if somebody were to stop by your office, whether it's a brick and mortar or a home office, would you confidently invite them into your office? Or would you quietly shut that door and say, well, let's go somewhere else? So, that's the question I wanted to ask you because, well, we're talking about clutter. And clutter is a really sneaky thing. It can not only just take up your space, you can lose focus because you have a messy office. And well, sometimes you can even lose your sanity because it's just such a mess. And while we've often heard that saying, messy desk, messy mind, is that really true? I mean, because there's creative people out there. So I don't know, but we're going to talk about that today and what clutter is really doing to your productivity and how maybe you can take back some control of that, what things really work. So today's guest is Denise Bibeault, and she is a professional office organizer. I know she organizes probably homes too, but I know that she specializes in the offices. So welcome to our show, Denise. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thanks very much, Zelda. I'm really happy to be here.
So Denise, I know she owns the organization company called Peaceful Places with Denise. And I always like to tell people how I know my guests. And I know my guests because we have run into each other many times at some different networking organizations and events. So that's how I know Denise. And I know that she's an organizer. I thought of you last week when I thought, I have a messy desk. I started to clean it up and then I got carried away and started into my home. And then, well, I just got tired. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk
Yeah,
about that. So
yeah.
first, I really wanna know, how did you even get into such a profession? I mean, were you just always the neat kid and everything was in its row, or how did this organization thing bite you?
Well, I was always that kid. If you looked at in my desk at school, I always had everything lined up perfectly in that desk I didn't have to go looking down inside to find things. I could just reach in, feel which thing I was looking for and pull it right out because I knew where everything was. But I was also this way when I was little, itty bitty. My favorite toys when I was growing up were those little Russian nesting dolls. And, I would take them out and line them all up because they had to be lined up perfectly, and then I would put them back together and put them away because that's how it went. And then, the other favorite toy I had was those little puzzles that have the pegs on them, and then, like, it's a picture of a ball, and then the ball would go into the circle hole, or was a picture of a dog, and the dog would go into the hole that was the shape of the dog. Oh, I love that because it was just all of a sudden everything just got into place where it all belonged, and it just always made me happy. I had when we used to go away for the weekends growing up, I had my little basket and my little I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, and my little basket. I used to love to pack my little basket and everything fit in there for the weekend. I know it's
Oh
a little
gosh.
corny, but I've always been this way.
I guess if I travel, I need to have you come over and pack my suitcase. It'd be so organized.
Let me tell you what, I could probably fit more into your suitcase than you ever imagine. That's my problem, it's always overweight.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, because you're very organized. So, when you walk into someone's office for the first time, so is there something that you usually notice immediately that person just never even paid attention to?
Well, what I should say first is that I don't pay attention to that. I mean, it's in the back of my mind, but I don't want anybody to ever think that I'm going into their house and kind of noticing what their clutter is, because I want people to always know that, you're accepted exactly as you are. You have the level of clutter that you want to have in your home, and that works for you. And if it doesn't work for you, then hey, I'm here to help you. But, I just look at it and think it's working perfectly for them. Otherwise, they would reach out. But there are some offices that I've walked into where the major way of filing things was to throw it on the floor. And that just kind of struck me a little bit like, how's that working out? How does that work? How do you find stuff? But I never ever say anything. I
So you're
just,
not judging. You're just saying,
oh,
"Okay, we gotta figure this one out."
yeah, if they were hiring me, then I would talk to them about how exactly does this work.
Gotcha. So I know for me, organized, I mean, and for a lot of people, probably just the word organized seems like it's, well, I don't feel judged by it, but I feel overwhelmed. Like when I said I started, then I moved on to my house. And when you talk about things on the floor, well, my desk doesn't have this. Well, there are a couple things on the floor, but not really. But in my house, I started taking things out of drawers that I no longer use or need, and there's a little stack over there on the floor that I didn't even put back in because I got overwhelmed. So how do you stop that overwhelmed feeling?
Well, it's a process, right? You have to make sure that you're starting at the right step. And a lot of people start the same way as you. People automatically think organize means get rid of things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. And that's what I tell my clients too, that I'm not here to get rid of anything. If you don't want to get rid of anything at all, that's completely up to you. But I don't ever throw anything out or donate anything without the client's permission. But the first thing that you really want to do is look at a space and determine, what do I want this space to function as? Right? And then decide, okay, if I want this place to function as an office, what do I want to do in this office? So, do you have your own business that you run from your home office, your personal finances, paying bills, and, keeping
Mhm.
track of
Running
home?
a house.
Yeah, yeah, running a house, exactly. Do you have a hobby that you want to have, that you want your own personal space for in your office? For example, there was a client that I had that plays guitar and had two different guitars. So there was a space set up in his office that had his guitars right out and ready so that he can play guitar. It's not kind of in the case on the floor underneath some files and that kind of thing. No, it has a separate space, and he goes over to that space when he wants to play guitar. So in my office, for example, I do a lot of hand stitching things, embroidery and things like that. So I have a space that has all my stitching things there, and then when I want to do it, I take it out, I use it, and then I put it back when I'm done. So it's real the first step is determining what you want that space to function as, and then it's what you're talking about. If there's something in that room that doesn't serve those functions, it leaves.
Wow, it's kinda like I used to have the spare bedroom was the office, and then my hobbies took it over.
Mhm.
So now it's, but sometimes there's just not enough space in the house for these things. So, yeah, what do you tell those people?
Well, then you have to really ask yourself, how important is that spare bedroom?
Mm.
How often do you have guests?
Oh, yeah, there's no bed in there.
Well, and see, that's exactly it. So is it time to look at that room and set it up as your craft space?
Yes.
So we before we downsized, we had a house that had 5 bedrooms. 3 of them were used. One was the guest room, the other one was another guest room that ended up being my storage for my teacher stuff because I was a teacher for a while.
I
And I was just like, we don't have really that many people visiting at all.
right.
So there's no purpose in having so many guest rooms. We thought because we moved down to Florida, all our northern family was going to come down to visit, and they don't.
No,
Or
they don't.
they stay for a night.
Mhm.
And now since then, you have all Airbnbs and things and
See,
everybody
that's
wants.
what a
Yeah.
hotel's for.
Well,
Not a
exactly.
hotel.
Exactly. And the ones that are okay with a blow-up mattress, we have one of those giant arrow beds that everybody says they've been comfortable on. We've been comfortable on sleeping on them. So that's kind of tucked away in a closet ready to go when someone comes. But other than that, we're not saving that space
That
anymore for.
that's interesting. As a realtor, I've been in so many homes, and the homes that I'm seeing these days are, they have designated craft rooms. In fact, one home that I went into had, I would go into it and it was a bedroom, the master bedroom. And then when I went back about a year later when they were ready to sell, they had taken, I went, "Where's the primary suite? It's a craft room." They said, "Well, we didn't need anything but the bed and a dresser in the bedroom, so we took the smaller bedroom, and the larger bedroom now is our craft space." And it was
Wow.
beautifully laid out, so I'm like, "Okay, I get it." And a house I currently have for sale upstairs is this giant loft and a bedroom off of the loft, and that loft is nothing but crafts, nothing but crafts. So, it's your space, you define it the way you want, like you said.
Exactly, and if there's something that really brings you joy that you want to go to at the end of the day and do, whether it's playing music or crafting or I don't care what it is,
It's
why aren't you designating a space for that in
yeah.
your house versus the guests that might come?
It's true, and in my art studio, what I have is a couch, and everybody tells me, "You could get rid of that couch and have so much more space," but you know what? I don't get rid of the couch because my books are in there on a bookshelf, and I like to go in there for peace and quiet and to read.
It's your little book nook too.
Yes, it's everything. The
Yeah.
catch-all. It's the
Yeah,
catch-all.
exactly. So, I mean, it's really kind of shifting out of this mindset that you have, bedroom, kitchen, living room, dining room,
Yeah,
because it's not really how we live, right?
the open concept, open floor plan,
Yeah. But I
designated
think sometimes,
areas, but not a designated room.
yeah. But when you have something like a craft room or an office, that's one that you want normally enclosed because you
Yes,
don't
you don't
want
want them
people
to
getting
see.
in. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's talk for just a moment about the clutter and what it really costs people because really it's not just about a messy desk. It's about so much more than that. So how does the physical clutter in a home office affect someone's productivity and their focus and their decision making? How does that messy desk affect those types of things?
Okay, so you had mentioned it costing money. Yes, it costs money. I mean, think about, and for some people, this is a lot of money when they misplace bills or they just put things down and then they miss their payment. They're not paying things on time, so now they're paying late fees and then the interest upon that. So there are people that still do everything by mail or they still receive their bills by mail. And if they misplace that, then they're not paying things on time. So there's that. If you have a lot of email clutter, and I'm doing this because my laptop's there. If you have a lot of email clutter, like you're subscribed to everything and getting, 30% off of this, that, and the other, and you're missing the email notifications that it's time to pay a bill. Okay. It's the same thing. So there's clutter on the computer and
Yes.
then there's clutter in your physical space, right? So you can also miss different opportunities if you don't regularly go through your mail. And by regularly, I mean you could do it once a week, right? It doesn't have to be a daily thing. You might miss some type of opportunity that comes through mail if you don't go through it or you don't have some type of a system set up where you're doing it regularly. So you could be missing opportunities that way. You and I, we go to these networking events and people might hand you things and then it's a card that's your only reminder about going to something or other.
Mhm.
I just because of the generation I'm in, I don't necessarily gravitate directly towards doing things digitally, so I like having that card.
Right.
But soon as I come home, I take care of it. I put it on my calendar, I do my RSVP, I take care of whatever it is that I need to take care of. If I can't do it right then and there, I've got a spot of things that like action items or to-do pile, so that I can go to it and take care of it. But think about the opportunities that you might miss if you don't have that system to, first of all, find it and then go back to it regularly. So
Uh,
you're missing opportunities that way too.
I agree. I have the one on the right-hand side, that's the to-do. On the left, it's, okay, at the end of the day, file those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I don't file them, but that's another story.
Here's the other thing too, Zelda, and this is what I really like to emphasize for people that if your space is not cluttered, right? If you've taken care of everything on and by not cluttered, I mean everything has a spot that it needs to go in. Some people are pilers, some people are filers, right? Some people need to put things away and file it immediately. Some people will only remember to do things if it's out, right? And I'm actually one of those people. So the last office I had, I just had to move a little bit. But the last office, I had a 2 long shelves sitting behind my desk, and I had the piles of things, the projects that I worked on,
Mhm.
so that all I had to do is turn around, grab the pile of whatever I wanted to work on, and go. So, I'm not necessarily a no clutter kind of an organizer. I'm the kind of an organizer that wants you to work in the way that works best for you. However, if I didn't have that pile and all that stuff was all over, how much time am I wasting looking for this and that and the other thing? And then that causes stress. And then that stress doesn't allow my mind to free itself up to come up with new and exciting ideas on how to market my business or how to do this or, anything. It's about getting things in a way in your space so that, your stress level comes down and your creativity can come out.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it.
I know that some people I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but it reminded me, some people are paper people. I'm a paper person. And what I do is I started my this is my New Year's ones. I buy a lot of binders. And I keep things like this one's for my podcast, my guests, my information on that, and my speaking opportunities and things like that. And I keep things very organized in that. They're also digital backups on my computer, but I like to have the paper. What can you address that issue about not having too much paper?
I love the binders. Can I show you something?
Yep. Show us the binders.
I've got
Yes.
my binders.
Yes. I have a bunch of them right here. They're on the floor.
Well, okay, so that's, we were talking about the other day, we were talking about perhaps giving people tips. And that's a good point that you make there. If those binders are something that you access regularly,
I do. That's why they're on the floor instead of
yeah.
in the closet where I used to keep them.
Well, yeah, it needs to be within arm's reach, right? The things that you do every single day, no matter what, have them on your desk, right? The things that you access once a day or maybe once every other day, then you can have that at arm's length, right? It doesn't have to be on your desk, but have it nearby. So these binders, you saw, I just have right here. Boom, it's put away.
So what about and it's like I'm confessing. I get a pile of things that I save for filing, like old invoices that I've paid or things for taxes coming up, just whatever, the paper stuff. You get a bill. Some things I do write a check for, and other things are, I go to the bank and, it's digitally paid. But I'm looking at the stack, and I used to be very good about every week or every month filing them away. But I have a bunch of months sitting here waiting for me to file them. And I know I have to do it by the end of this month because I have to start preparing for taxes. But what kinds of tips can you give for us that just has piles of paper that just needs to be filed? It's not like you take them and put them in a file folder. They have to be divided up into different sections.
Right. Right.
It's a
So,
task, it's a miserable task.
yeah. And when was the last time you did it?
I don't know.
Okay, so that would be what I would suggest to you is that I'm assuming that you have a calendar for yourself, some type of way that you're organizing your time and you schedule things.
Yeah.
Schedule 15 minutes a week to do your filing. Have one, filing box. I think you mentioned having that, a box where you have, and then at the end of the week, file it all. Just take and this is a good point. At the end of every day, I like to leave my desk in such a way that I know what's coming, what the first thing is that I'm doing the next day, but it's nice and clear, right? And then at the end of the week, I like to leave it so that I don't feel as though I need to handle anything on the weekend. That if I need this desk space for my embroidery or whatever, then I have an open space here to work on that. And I'm not thinking about work, right? So it's cleaning up at the end of your day, just setting 5 minutes at the end of the day to clear the desk, maybe 15 minutes at the end of the week to clear your office, and file things away.
That's a great tip. So, here's how I organize my week or my whatever, my schedule besides a legitimate calendar, okay? I take an I divide this up into little sections, usually 10 sections of things I have to do, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add 15 minutes a week. I'm gonna add file. Yeah. New Year's resolution.
Good. Don't wait till well, you can't wait till the new year, you have to do it, but that's fantastic, and then you just hold yourself to it. and then once it just it'll become a habit is really
Yes.
what it
Yes,
is.
it's like 15 minutes, and I will put the timer on so that I know that it's not gonna overwhelm me. Set the timer for 15 minutes.
And you're exactly right. Setting a timer, it is a definite motivator, especially for those folks who have ADHD.
Mm.
Setting a timer works really well. It helped with my students a lot too. It helped them to really focus in on what it is that they needed to do because, oop, there's a deadline.
So what's the most common category or item that causes the most chaos that you see in home offices or just
Mail,
offices? Mail.
mail.
That's what I'm looking at, all that mail. 15 minutes, everybody, 15 minutes.
Yeah, and here's another thing that I worked with someone before who, when the mail came, I worked with her daily. And when the mail came in, and like, let's say there was a stack like that, she would go through it looking for something. She was expecting something to come in. And then when she found it, she took care of that one thing and everything else just remained in a pile that could end up in the back of her car. It could end up in all these. Yeah, it was.
I open my mail over
I
the
love her.
garbage can. Junk,
Well, and
junk, junk.
that's just it. You could have in your office is another good thing. Have a trash can and a recycle bin if you're into recycling. And some people are not, and that's fine. And there's no judgment from me. I know there's arguments both ways for that. But when you go through your mail, it's easy enough to just say, okay, if it's shiny, it's garbage.
Ooh, don't say that, I have postcards that are shiny.
Okay, but then that goes back to what I was saying before. When someone gives me something, is this something that I want? I mean, you could take a quick glance at something and say, "You know what? I don't I don't need dental implants, garbage."
Yes, exactly.
Don't just put it on your desk.
Yeah,
Don't put it somewhere else. Decide right then and there that it's garbage and get rid of the garbage.
because
Credit card applications?
yes, trash,
Yeah. Are you looking for new car insurance?
right.
Trash.
Okay, so you might not be looking for a new realtor, but don't you think that would get their attention? Looking for a needle in a haystack?
Oh, yeah.
So,
I put my glasses on, so I didn't see it. Put that back up again.
okay, there you go.
Oh, that's cute, Zelda.
Finding the right realtor shouldn't feel like looking for a needle in a haystack. Woo!
I like it. I like it. That's
On
cute.
me. That'll be out real soon. So I know Denise is the professional, but don't throw away every shiny object. Oh dear. So is there a habit that you see? What's one organizing habit that well, let me read it the way I wrote it because I wrote this question down for you. I said, "What's one organizing habit people think is helping them, but actually it makes things worse?"
Buying stuff.
Mm.
I go into so many houses and we have to spend time organizing the bins that they bought to organize their stuff. Or
Oh, yes. I
or
made those
another
bins, put them in my pantry because my pantry was a mess. I did this a couple years ago, but then I got those little, those little brother tapes or whatever, and I labeled them snacks, spices, and what. Sometimes it gets a little messed up, but not. It helped me a lot.
well, and in what you're saying right there is a good point too, is when you do have it labeled like that and you have it designated as these are my snacks, then you know when you're getting low, right? So before you go to the grocery store,
It's never
you
low.
no, but okay, so then that's my point, Zella. That's my point. If you're looking at it and it's low, then you know
Yeah.
now I can buy it. Don't just go buy the snacks because it's BOGO or whatever. Or,
Right.
oh, I'd like to try that. Buy it because your snack bin is low.
Yeah.
See, because that's another way that we waste money.
That's very true. Very true. I'm bad at that. I need to get better. Every week when I go to the grocery store, not every week, every day practically. It's like, okay, this looks good. Try it.
Well, and that's just it too. We've really, as a culture, we've kind of gotten out of the whole making a menu, planning things out, and buying things only
Yes.
when we need it. We've just gotten at my mom used to do it, my grandmother
Used
did
to
it.
do it when my kids
Yeah.
were little.
Yeah. And now, as a business owner, we don't have as much time to do it, right? And, just we're pulled in so many different directions. It's hard to do that. But if you can, then it'll end up saving a lot of money,
Yeah.
especially, like, if you can batch cook and freeze things.
I've learned to do that. I started to do that. I get little Tupperware things and I don't know if they're Tupperware, but they are in the freezer, and
Right, right.
I'm doing that. So let me go for a second back. We're now into the very beginning of 2026. And if someone wants to feel more in control of that office, what's the very first step that they should take?
Clear out anything that doesn't add to their productivity. Like, if they have their workspace and they have, let's say, we'll designate my desk and the 5-foot area around my desk as my workspace. Get everything out of there that doesn't have anything to do with your work. That's like the 911 version of what to do. Okay. If you have the time, if you have the bandwidth, right? If you have the energy, you're not going to get overwhelmed. Then you can do some of the things that we already talked about. But if you don't have that time, then at least carve out that space on and around your desk as work only and
Yeah.
only allow things in there that's going to add to your productivity.
Well, Denise, we all live in this digital world now. Things are transitioning out of the paper. No, no, but they are. So, but paper still shows up everywhere. We know it's there. So, why do people struggle so much with paper even now? Or is it a generational thing, do you think?
I think it is a generational thing. And I got to tell you that up until last month, I was using my paper calendar. And then last month, I'm like, I have had this goal of getting onto my digital calendar and I haven't done it, but I'm going to do it. So I did both because I was really reluctant to let go of my paper calendar. Like, how am I going to know? I need to see where the white space is. But I stopped and I made the investment and I took the time to really set up that digital calendar, and I don't even look at my paper calendar anymore. So I wanna say the transition took me, I'll say, like, 4 to 5 weeks, and I finally gave up the paper calendar, and I'm so yeah, yeah, okay, really.
I'm
Just
like you. I have
guys,
both, or used to be. I have the one that's so I can double check myself, especially when I'm scheduling people to be on this podcast. I like, okay, I need to double check. It's on the paper and it's in the on the digital world. So, but
somebody said to me, though, that and it wasn't to me, I was watching something, they said, "The biggest recipe for disaster is to have it in both places." So be careful, Zelda, be careful. I don't know how long you've been doing it, but I definitely saw myself going down that road going, "Oh, it's not on the paper calendar," or, "It's on the paper calendar, it's not on there. What happened? What happened?"
I
And
don't.
so I had to just bite the bullet and go. Because
Do
believe
you
me,
use a particular system for going no more calendar on paper and digital? What do you mean by a digital calendar? Is it
I use
phone or?
well, I have it set up on my calendar through Microsoft, it's Outlook,
Mhm.
and I set it up on Outlook. I set up colors that mean different things. My appointments are green, my work things are purple because, that's my color. And then I have that calendar up all the time. It's always running. So I can always see where my white spaces are. One thing I don't necessarily, because I like to see the month view. I only go into the day view if I have to. But so I look at the month view and I don't like that if I have a bunch of things scheduled, for example, it has one thing on there and then another thing that says +2. So there's two other things going on that day. I have to click on it to see it. But you know, it's kind of just a trade-off that I've had to make. One thing I have liked is that I also have a birthday calendar and I have that up right next to it, so I don't
Yeah.
I'm trying very diligently to not miss birthdays anymore, which I had been doing
Yeah.
with my paper calendar.
Oh,
So,
wow.
it was just about biting the bullet and saying, "You know what?" It slowly, I was seeing myself moving to digital and then just saying, "Okay, you know what? Put the other one away."
So
And
what I'm sorry, go ahead.
the paper one, I bought a paper one for 2026 earlier on in 25, and I'm just gonna use that for strategic planning.
Okay, very good. And that's mine is mostly strategic planning too, but I do put all my podcasts on there and I double check it. And it's good that I double check it because sometimes I don't put it right the first time. So,
Right.
but maybe I'll make that a goal to try to achieve this year is to get rid of the calendar for 2027. Give
Yeah,
myself
I mean, it's something to consider, right? And one of my goals for this year also has been to go digital. I have paper files on all my clients, and I don't want to have paper files on my clients because when I'm running through the process of signing on a client, gee, it would just take a lot less time to do it digitally. I mean, imagine as a realtor if you still had to do everything on paper.
well, we have to have it mine is digital, but I have to be able to have certain things like wet signatures.
Ah,
So, some things I get wet signatures and I do need the paper, but for the most part, then I back it all up in the computer, so
right, right.
just depends on what it is that I'm getting signed, but how can people tell the difference between what's truly important and what they're just keeping out of fear or it's emotional? How do they get rid of that emotion that's attached to what it is that they don't want to get rid of, so to speak?
Talk it out. That has been the best way for my clients to end up letting go of things. And certainly, I would say talk it out with someone that you trust, but it has to be someone that's not gonna judge you for having it in the first place,
Yeah.
and someone who is going to allow you to not make the decision yet. So, can I give you an example of that one? I have a client who downsized after losing her husband and moved cross country. Her husband was very sick for a while, and he spent a lot of time in his recliner covered up in this particular blanket. Well, in her house, she had, I want to say like 22 throw blankets for one person, but some of them were certain themes that she liked, and this person made this, and this was made for us when we got married by my grandmother, and, all a lot of them
Yeah.
had a lot of meaning
Emotion.
to them. And so, one of them was a navy blanket that she and her husband used to sit on when they went to see the fireworks out at some battleship or whatever every year. And so, when we were going through all the blankets, I laid them all out on the floor and I said, "Okay, here are 2 blankets." It was the blanket that he wore on him when he was sick and the navy blanket. And then she really explained to me that with the one that he was wearing when he was sick was he had gone into hospice and then he died, and when she came home, that blanket was on his empty recliner, and that was just something that really, I'm like, "Okay, now I see the gravity of this blanket." Okay? I mean, I could just imagine and put myself in that position
Oh,
of seeing
yeah.
the empty
Yeah.
recline, you know?
My dad had that
So
one blanket on him always, yeah.
yeah, and so I said to her, "Can I say something that's coming up for me?" She said, "Go ahead." She already knew what to expect from me, that I was gonna be brutally honest with everything, and I said, "When you talk about this blanket,
It's
you're
sad.
sad, and when you talk about this other one, you're happy."
Yeah,
When I brought that up for her, now this is already after months of working together and
yeah,
talking about the blankets anyway, she said, "You know what? You're right. I think it's time for it to go."
yeah.
And she let go of the not the navy one, the other one. So, it's about giving someone with the emotional stuff, it's about giving someone the space to make that decision, giving them different ways to think about things, but if they can't make the decision yet, then letting them not make that decision yet. They're just not ready to make that decision yet.
And and I use something similar really in real estate when they're moving and whether they're downsizing or just moving, and there's something their child made, an art or something that's just sentimental. I tell them to take a picture of it and then let's put it in a picture frame.
Yeah.
And then you can get rid of the object that takes up a lot more space and we can find a special place in your new home for it. Make shadow boxes, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely, and I believe that there is a company, or I mean, certainly you could make a book. You could take a
Yeah.
picture of all of their stuff and make a book out of
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
too. So and that takes up even less space.
Well, we're coming to the close of this episode, so I'd like to know, our audience would like to know if someone's thinking about, hey, I need help. How can they find you and learn more about your work and maybe become one of your clients?
Super. Well, they can visit my website, peacefulplaceswithdenise.com. If you would like to get in contact with me, you can email me at Denise at peacefulplaceswithdenise.com. You can text or call 904-347-8354.
Very good. And we will put that information in our show notes so that they can reach you very quickly. Uh,
Also, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, so they can reach me through those avenues as
Social
well.
media is awesome. So I have
Yep.
one final question. It is my signature question that I ask every single guest, and that is if has there been an opportunity that presented itself to you because of a connection that you had?
Well, this is an opportunity, certainly.
There you go. All her opportunity. So I hope that y'all will remember to give Denise a call. If you can't find her, hey, reach out to me. I'll get you in touch with Denise. But we'll have all of that in the show notes. Just remember, everyone, to subscribe to this podcast. We're on all the different apps: Apple, Spotify, YouTube, everywhere. And remember that success does not happen in isolation. It happens because of the connections that you have. So if you are looking for a connection in real estate, call Zelda. I'm with Legacy Realtor Group, North Florida, and I won't drop the ball because I stay ahead of the ball. And remember to keep making your connections because connections, they really are currency, and connections is the power move. So you need to keep connecting. And until next week, I'll see you with Success Through Connections.